Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello, Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Big news for Tim Dillon coming back to Netflix with something being described as a political talk show type special. According to Deadline, Dillon's new hour will focus on the most important but often overlooked element of our political system, the people. It will pose the question, do we get what we deserve? Topics will lead to conversations no one wants to have at the holiday table, but Tim Dillon isn't afraid to lead. He'll host the special in front of a live audience. Interesting. Title, location, and date yet to be announced. It's an interesting play. If you've been listening over the years, I've been very enthusiastic about Dillon's career. Recently, he had on Alex Jones, and it kind of sapped my enthusiasm for Tim. I did check out the episode to see what they were doing, and Tim wasn't being goofy or doing his usual shtick. It was like a normal conversation with Alex Jones, and I'm like, do you not? And it just, I don't know, it left a bad taste in my mouth. So my Tim Dillon enthusiasm is lower than usual today. Did not enjoy that. Not sure why he had Mr. Jones on other than a download grab. So, yeah, move on. Patton Oswalt is also in business with Netflix. They are developing the live-action adaptation of Minor Threats, the hit comic book co-created by actor and comedian Patton Oswalt. You know Minor Threats, the hit comic book? Yeah. Well, it's coming to TV. The project is described as being in the early stages of development. Minor Threats centers on low-level supervillains who usually find themselves bound in front of a police station with a note saying, courtesy of your friendly neighborhood Batman. Spoilers, the initial story arc subverted superhero convention, kicking off with the psychotic Stickman murdering the young hero Kid Dusk, who's the sidekick to Twilight City's premier crime fighter, the Insomniac. With that vigilante hero's teammates turning the city into a police state in a desperate attempt to capture Stickman, small-time D-list villains find their lives turned upside down. Thus, with a bounty on Stickman's head, a former villain assembles a ragtag team to find Stickman and kill him themselves. Apparently, Minor Threats was a big surprise hit for Dark Horse when it debuted in August of 2022. Sounds interesting. Hannah Gatsby has another show. Woof will make its New York debut this fall at the Abrams Arts Center. Hannah says, I get the impression the world is ending, so I've decided to go down the nostalgic route over the ambitious one. So New York City, you're part of a tour where I'm revisiting many of my old haunts, such as the Edinburgh Fringe, the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, and my cousins in Sandy Bay. Woof begins performances on September 27th for 4 weeks. Hannah says, this is my best ever show. Hands down, I might quit after it for fun this time. Kevin Hart, who I'll remind you is out promoting at least 3 different things this week, is getting some headlines over the roast of Tom Brady. Sure, why not? Kevin Hart said, I like when the jokes are about me. I thought they were so fun. I didn't like the way they affected my kids. It's the hardest part about, like, the bittersweet aspect of when you do something you think is one way and then all of a sudden you realize I wouldn't do that again because the way it affected actually the people I care about most in the world. I'd have to go back and watch. I don't recall what Kevin Hart's kids would be upset about, but I'm sorry that they're upset, I guess. But on the other hand, that's what a roast is. Kevin Hart says, when Tom Brady says he regretted doing it, I think what he's referring to is saying, I could have tapered it a little differently or had a conversation of like, guys, let's go and do this, but let's not touch this or that. I think like the idea of going all in and just saying, F it, I don't care, because I know the world would love to see me being on the receiving end of stuff because I'm Tom Brady and I've been at the highest stage all my life. I think it was that. Kevin said, what it did for comedy and our climate of sensitivity, I think was necessary and valuable, although I can stop doing both sides. Pick a stand, Kevin Hart, come on. I'll pick a stand. It was the best thing of the year. Pick a side, Kevin. Kevin said, although I could side with Tom and see where he's coming from, and just him wanting to protect the idea of family and conversation attached to that. That's probably where that's coming from. Tom Brady, nobody made you do a roast. Nobody put a gun to your head and said, hey, we're going to roast you. You signed up for it. Kevin said, I'm not privy to what he dealt with after, so I know his response in saying something about it was a result of possibly that, but that thing made people comfortable with the concept of a joke being a joke. That's what a roast is, everybody. You don't accidentally wind up on a roast. People are commenting on Lil Rel Howery's appearance. He has lost a lot of weight. Howery says his new body is the product of a radical lifestyle overhaul, daily workouts, and therapy. In an Instagram post, he said, this is my own appreciation post for myself. I've worked really hard on myself the last 5 years physically, mentally, spiritually, professionally, and personally. I'm so proud of myself. This is the best I've ever felt and looked in my whole life, honestly, to stop drinking, eating better, working out almost every single day, writing, building a closer relationship with God, therapy, and honestly, accountability has taken my life to the next level of pure happiness. Whatever you do, please do for yourself. And if you can, don't take the shortcut. Really put the work in. This is just a whole straight hard work stuff. That's the honest to God's truth. Let me be an example of truly putting the work in. Some people were suspecting he had taken Ozempic, which he says he has not. Also, coincidentally, he's out promoting his new film, Harold and the Purple Crayon. Hey, Weird Al, it's been 10 years since Mandatory Fun. How do you think it is? Is it your best album or what? Weird Al said, that's a good question. With every album I've put out, I've said it's the best thing I've ever done, and I'd always believe it at the time. Now with 10 years of distance, if I'm looking over my entire career, I don't know if it's my best album, but I would say it's still one of my best. I would say for sure that the last 6 albums that I produced are better than the first 6, and I'd like to think I've gotten better over time. I think the songs are better crafted and better overall. So if it isn't the best album, I'd like to say it's one of my best. Joe Rogan is refusing to travel to Canada. Okay, fine. He won't do it while the nation's prime minister is Justin Trudeau. Rogan was talking on his podcast with Sam Morril. Rogan said, some people, they're always just trying to define themselves to you. They always want to define themselves in a very nice way. Sam said, I do kind of miss types of people who are like, hey, let's bond over something else other than the world ending. Rogan responded, yeah, but you know, when people don't have any legitimate conflict in their life, they manufacture conflict. Rogan then mocked people who say they have PTSD from the last 4 years when Trump was in office. Sam Morril said, not to mention, I'm moving to Canada. And I'm like, you think Canada wants all our whiners? Rogan said, not only that, but Canada has like ridiculous hate speech laws. They can come down on you for a lot of things. The people who are donating to the truckers, they seize their bank accounts. That's not a good place. It's not a good place under this administration, at least. They went sideways. Newsweek has contacted the Office of the Prime Minister of Canada via email for comment. I'll let you know if I see any comment from Justin Trudeau. From the Cambridge Day, your home for comedy news. It was the inaugural edition of the Heck Yeah, Heckle Mike Show. That was on Tuesday at the Rockwell in Somerville. The Cambridge Day asked co-host Caroline Moore, how would you describe the concept of a heckle mic to someone who's never heard of it? Co-host Caroline Moore said, if you've ever seen one of those videos where an audience member just shouts something out, that's the basis of a heckle mic. Sometimes you'll get a person who's too drunk or too high and they feel like they want to be part of the show. And in the moment, I realize you're 10 minutes to listen to Daily Comedy News. You probably know what a heckler is. I'm going to skip ahead. The comedians get on stage. They have 1 minute to do their standard material. After that 1 minute, they have 4 minutes where people get to ask them questions or roast them. It depends on what the audience feels. If the audience is, this joke sucks, they'll let you know. Everyone knows what they're signing up for, except possibly Tom Brady and maybe Kevin Hart, depending on which way the wind's blowing politically. We got business deals to make. People are expecting to be heckled. It's not a surprise like it is at a normal open mic. Even as an audience member, before I was doing stand-up, I would think, oh, that's not a funny joke. You'll hear jokes at open mics and you go, just get to the point, and you want to say that aloud. It's a very aggressive feedback mic, but it brings camaraderie too, because you're connecting with people and joking around. You can positively heckle too. A lot of people think there's only negative heckling. There are so many ways of heckling. It's for people who are open to that experience. It's a chance to be goofy. If you're in Somerville, it's at the Rockwell, 255 Elm, Tuesday, 7 o'clock. Hell yeah, heckle mic. The show is free. And I'm a little cynical today. Here's this next headline. Jerry and Jessica Seinfeld have a date with the Greenwich International Film Festival. You see, Jerry and Jessica Seinfeld will receive the Changemaker Award honors at the Greenwich International Film Festival's gala event on November 13th. The Changemaker Award honors artists like Jerry and Jessica Seinfeld who have used their public platform and the power of film to further positive social change. Previous winners, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Eva Longoria, John Legend, Ashley Judd, Harry Belafonte, Mia Farrow, and now Jerry and Jessica Seinfeld. GIF founder and chairwoman Wendy Stapleton said Jerry and Jessica are the perfect fit for changemakers in this momentous year. Jessica has used her platform for decades. No, I didn't blow an edit. Let me read that again. Jessica has used her platform for decades to advocate for the disenfranchised, underrepresented, and now the Jewish community in their battle against the rising tide of anti-Semitism around the world. And then she added, Jerry, having created the iconic comedy show over a lifetime, I mean, is he even famous, that guy? Is the perfect balance we've always had looking for a change maker. He's a celebrity who is able to tackle difficult topics while making us laugh. What an incredible gift laughter is to carry us through challenging times. Boy, they are lucky that Jessica has such a wonderful husband that he'll balance the events. So yeah, that's November 13th. If you're rich enough to live in Greenwich or visit Greenwich, you can go see Jerry and Jessica Seinfeld. That's your comedy news for today. I think I've said it all between the lines today, don't you? See you tomorrow.